Okay, we're going to go through the PowerPoint found on our website here, BSU 121. We are going to be in week 2, data types and expressions. So if we open that up, it's going to look like this. I'm going to go through the examples in here and code them with you so that you can have time to refer to this video as we go along. So our objectives are listed here: classify various types of data in a program, use data and variables and expressions, identify and resolve issues with integer division, and differentiate between objects and primitive data types. So we'll keep moving through here. Recall, okay, we're doing strings and variables. So if we had ourselves this information, we had a string, where the type of variable we have is a string with the variable name being course number, and we have assigned this value CS121 to the variable course number. We also have another variable of type string called course name, and we have placed in there computer science 1. We have a third string, it's called full course. Excuse me. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be combining, it looks like, the variable course number. We're going to concatenate it, putting in there a colon with the course name. So let's take a look at how that can look. So right here, we have some printout lines. So starting about here, this is what we saw in the PowerPoint. We have our course number, CS101, the course name, and we're going to have a full course by concatenating our course number with our course name. And then we're going to do a printout full course name. So let's run that here, and we will see the full course name is CS101 colon space computer science 1. Okay. We have 8 basic primitive data types in Java. For numbers, we have a bit, short, or byte, short, int, long, float, and double. We have a character data type, and we have a Boolean data type. So for the numbers, whole numbers are going to be in the forms of a byte, short, int, or long. And depending upon how much information you want to store in that variable, it'll depend on which of those primitive data types you have selected. So if it's a very, very small amount, between a negative 128 to a positive 127 values, so somewhere in that range, you might want to use a byte. Shorts consist of negative 3,000, negative 32,000, all the way up to a positive 32,000. Ints, this is approximately negative 2 billion to positive 2 billion, and a long is a negative 9 quintillion to a positive 9 quintillion. Now those are just whole numbers. If we want to represent something with a decimal, that is called a floating point number, and we have 2 options there: a float, which has 6 to 9 significant digits after the decimal point, and a double, which would have 15 to 17 significant digits past that decimal point. We will primarily use just ints and doubles. Those are very commonly used, and they do end up holding enough data for most programs. So we have some examples here. So like if we had 10 students, we would name a variable in num students possibly, and it is of type integer. If we are going to have a final, remember that is in capital letters, and we have it listed as such. So if we wanted to have something that had a decimal point in there, we could use a double. That would be better, and a final in that case there. Characters. Characters are things that store a single symbol or whatnot, so like a letter A, the symbol 9, the escape clause for a new line, X, things like that. And typically we're going to be using the ASCII set of codes. This here, I sent out a video, but we're going to show you something on this particular one here. If I run this characters here, and I'm going to try to print out a smiley face, like I saw here in the right here, character smiley U263A, U263A, and I print that out under characters, it comes up with a question mark here. It's not picking up this code. So what we want to do is we want to change our configuration. So go into run configurations, over here to common, change that to other, bring that down to UTF-8, apply and run that, and now you will see that it did pick up that new information. So now it will do those special characters like that. Booleans, they only hold 2 values, true or false. So they could represent things like states of on and off. So we have in this case here, a Boolean. We have the variable name is done and it is set to false. Now you can declare multiple variables in one line, but you have to instantiate them or give them a value. So you can do this, but along the way you're going to have to tell us what value to start with. Too small, is it false or is it true? So like here on Booleans, let's have our Boolean is done as false, and I'm going to print out is done. And I'm going to say like, well, if I have an integer x, and I'm going to assign a value of 0 to it. Now, if x is greater than 5, print out true. Well, and then we're going to print out done. So let's see what happens with is done under Booleans. It says false on that particular case there because 0 is not greater than 5. Now, if I change this to 6 here, I'm going to run that again. Now we're going to see that it says 6 Booleans. Okay, it prints out right here. First it does that. I'm going to do, so right here it prints out false because that's where it starts out at. But this second one is true because it does say that 6 is greater than 5. So then it prints out that second one there. Okay, so we're going to have some fun here. We're going to declare a variable to represent the number of students in this class. What type of variable will it be? And what name will you give it? Well, let's think about that. If we're using ints or doubles, we're probably going to think that we have whole students in here, no fractions of students, so we wouldn't use a double. We would just use integers. So we would declare a variable named num students or number of students as an integer, and we will need to initialize that variable with the number of students in the class right now. Let's say, for instance, there might be like 8 in there. Suppose one new student enrolls in this class. We're going to write a statement that will assign a new number of students to the class. And then we're also going to declare and initialize a variable so that it will store the name of a new student, Bugs Bunny. Okay, so let's think about how we would store that. Declaring and initializing. Declaring what type of a variable would hold a string of characters. Well, string. I'm sorry, not characters, words. So that would be a string. So we would have to put that in string. Now, finally declare a variable to represent whether or not we're having fun in this class. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we have a number of students. I have said it was an integer. I have named it number of students. We have 8 in there. We are going to add in 2 new students right here. And we're going to print that out. So I'm going to make some things here so make it easier on me to find it in my printout. This way I will see number of students and I'll run that out. So I'm hoping that we come up with 10 on this one here. Number of students is 8. Oh, I put number of students that is correct. So we have a printout there, number of students. Now I have, because all I'm printing out num students, I'm printing out that should be 8. Correct. Now I'm going to take number of students, and I'm going to add 1 to that. And now I'm going to print out another one right here. So let's say this is going to be new class enrollment. And so let's go up here, find new class enrollment is at 9. So okay, so we had 8 here, we added 1 to it, now we have 9. Now let's do it again. We're gonna add num students is gonna equal num students plus new students. Let's see what this is. All right, final class enrollment is 11. So let's run through this again. We started with 8. We added 1 to it. Makes it 9. Now we're going to add num students plus new students. So we have a new value though. This new num students picked up 1 here. So at this point in time, it is no longer 8. It is 9 because we have reassigned that value. So now then, num students is 9 plus new students of being 2 will give us a final class enrollment of 11. All right. Now let's say we were to make a new student named Bugs Bunny. It was going to be of type string. So, and then we're going to make so that would be how you would do that. I could also do a string other students, and I could do that, and it's okay. But right now I haven't given it any values, so that's not going to be helpful until I do give it some values. And it said to create a Boolean. Like right here, we have a Boolean that said having fun. I've set it to true. So let's go through. I made a little bit of some code here. If y, which is just a variable, is equal to 0. No, int y. It's starting off a variable of type integer holding the value of 0. If that value, 0, is greater than 1, if that is true, we will go into this first set of parameters and say having fun is false. But if this is not correct, we will go to the second set here, and it will say having fun equals true. So hopefully 0 is not greater than 1, so it will bypass this option and go to this one down here, and then print out, are we having fun yet, true or false? Well, I'm hoping it prints out the second option here of it being true. True, right there. Okay. Going back to our next slides here. Expressions. We have arithmetic expressions. You're probably familiar with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But we're going to add one more. It's called modulo, or modulus in some cases. And it is the remainder of a division problem. That's what that modulus is. And we'll get to that in a little while. We can also do mathematical expressions. So we can figure out, say, for instance, the volume of a rectangle. If we are given the length, width, and height, we can create a just simple formula there and run that. So we have width, height, and length. And we are going to just simply times those out there. Volume is going to be width times height times length. And it's going to print out volume is. Hopefully we get that value there. Volume is 3,000. So I have referred to this a few times here, and I'm not sure why it says 750 in the slides. I really don't understand that, because we have 10 times 5 is 50 times 15. Let's try that. 10 times 5 times 15 is equal to 750. So I have done something in this volume incorrectly here. Let's see. Width. Maybe I did the length, width, height. Length, width, height. Ah, see, it does this order of operations from left to right. So length, width, and height is different. So what I want to do here is try to change that around to get that 750. And it's very important that we have those in order. As we can see, it said it was going to be, so we go length, length, width, and then height. Length, then height. And I'm going to stick that out there. Now let's see. Volume is still length times width times height. Well, that's still 7. It says 3,000. I'm not sure why I'm getting that 3,000. Let me pause it and we'll take a look at that. Pretty simple fix there. I just had the wrong numbers inside here. I just was multiplying different values. So hopefully this time if I run that here, volume is going to be 750 like the text said. Okay, keep on going through here. Okay, mathematical expressions. We're going to have this, we're going to pause here for today, and we're going to pick this up again at another point.